All right, folks, welcome to the pre-show. And let me bring in our guest for today and get him kind of dialed in. He's just dialed in from New Zealand. So let's see if we can get Toby on the show. And we lost his video, but that's okay. We'll get him back. And there's some video. Toby, can you see me?
Can you hear me? Yep.
I can.
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good. I'm just swapping cameras around here.
All right.
Slightly better cable. Too many cables and wires.
Okay. Got it. Good old cables and wires.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Doing some last minute changes here on this end, but that's okay. And let's see if we can do some changes on this end. Folks, generally this is stuff that we do off camera, but Toby has been so gracious to come on board today and to do it at like 6:30 in the morning, almost 7 o'clock in the morning. All right, Toby, you've gone dark on us.
Yeah. So have you got some filter on your end on my camera? Because what I'm seeing, it looks different from that.
This is what we're seeing from you.
Have you got any brightness or anything filters on that channel though?
I do not.
No.
I'll double check, but I don't think so.
Yeah, that's quite different from sending you.
That's the best I can do. There we go.
Yeah, it looks very pink.
You've come out of the dark. Let me adjust the color on this end, see what we can do. Let's turn some of those off and start again. It is cold down there, eh?
Yeah, it's about 0 degrees, which is about 32 Fahrenheit, I think.
Here it is in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, it's summer. It's summer. What can I say?
I'll have to convert that to metric to figure out what that actually. But oh yeah, 32. Yeah, that's 32 degrees Celsius. That's pretty warm.
Okay. And let's do that, and then let's do that. There we go. We're just getting ready here. Get a little cropping going on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Audio's all right. You can hear me all right?
I can. Yes. I can hear you just fine, and we'll get folks from the chat to chime in and tell us if your audio and my audio are about the same level. I suspect I'm a little high compared to you, but we can fix that. Hello, Fritz. Welcome, Rich. Ernesto, glad to have you. Jesper and Gunnar, glad to have you guys here. There we go. All right, now, Toby, I'm going to send you back. This is the feed we're going to work with most of the time.
The color looks very strange, which is...
It does.
So the preview I can see looks great, but for some reason what I'm getting back from you is very weird.
It is weird. Let's see if we can reset everything. That helps a little. Yeah. We must have had some settings left on from last time. That's little. There we go. All right.
I'll see if I can...
Michael Quist is here. Welcome, Michael. Glad to have you. As usual, folks, with this show today, I've ran out of time in prep, so we're 85% ready for this show. By the time the show's over, we'll be 100% ready. But no, it is. It's running up on 7 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand, and your kids are safely dropped off at school.
Not yet. No, they'll be up now, so there might be a bang on the door shortly. But
okay. Okay, so your lovely spouse is going to do that duty this morning. So do you have snow?
Not really. We have it on the mountains. If it was light outside, you might be able to see some mountains, but not down in the valley, no.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. We are getting you at 720, 30 frames a second. That's not bad, coming across the whole world with about 90 milliseconds of latency. So
that's pretty good.
It is not bad at all. I generally set 50 seconds of latency here just on my cameras, just to kind of let the audio drift back to the same time as the cameras. All right, let's see. Do you have access to the chat?
Oh, yes, I do, I think.
If you want to pop up Streaming Idiots and then go to the Watch Live menu selection, scroll down to the bottom of that is the chat. And that is where you can chat, and more importantly, you can see what folks are saying, because I think we'll probably have some questions. Now, one thing, Toby, that you have to remember with me is I'm an idiot.
That's all right.
And so that means that I'm going to present your software, and you're going to say, no, Tom, that's not how you do it. So maybe I ought to let you present it. What we can do is we can set it up. We can set it up for this shot that we're seeing right now, and then a single shot of you, and then a single shot of me. And so that'll give us our various shots. Let's see, I've got the interface here. That'll give us our two main shots, and then our overview and our silent shots can be this combined shot. But I've got some problems with it right now, so you're going to have to come in and straighten me out. All right, folks. A while back, Gunnar heard nothing, and then Jesper heard the music. But do you guys see us and hear us? Can we get a sound check and a video check? Okay, Michael says yes. All right, so we're good. Michael is the man. Hear and see. That's the Danish spelling of the word see, S-E. Jesper's got us. And Fritz said, and we look good. Oh, all right. Thanks, Fritz. Let's see. Oh, Michael's come back with the American spelling of the word see. So we're good. We're good there. It's interesting, Toby. At this time of day, this is 3 p.m. in the East Coast. Now, I'm actually in the Central Time Zone, so it's 2 o'clock for me. But for folks in Europe, this is right after supper. So we get an interesting European audience, and then we get a lot of folks from California because it's lunchtime in California. And then we get some crazy folks from the Tar Heel state. Welcome, Dave. Dave just moved from California to North Carolina, so from the complete west coast of the United States to the complete east coast. Ron Wallace is here. Ron Wallace is like 10 miles up the road from me, so we've got people from all over. Michael says it's 9 o'clock in the evening where he is in Denmark. So we are spanning time zones like never before. This is all right. This is all right. All right. Well, we are coming up on showtime, and as per usual, we're going to use our X keys. This is the new XBE 96, complete with LED lights. So we are still in the process of getting that guy dialed in, and we've got 2 buttons on there, one that starts the show and one that ends the show. So we're going to hit that purple button to start the show. When we do that, Toby, it's going to kind of flip you off to the side for a second. I'll do an introduction, bring you in, and then we'll go. Yeah. Ronald, it is a beast. It is. It is. Oh, Michael says, how did you get down to such little latency on the connection? Well, it's vMix call. I mean, what can you say? And Fritz says you should do a Google map with pins like Bird Dog John used to do. Well, if somebody else has already done it, Fritz, I don't know. Dave says that they're RGB lights. They've always been LEDs. Thank you, Dave. That's probably only the 5th time I've made the mistake. All right, we're hitting the purple button. Let's go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is cool. Had to look off to the side just to make sure it was working. But welcome, I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. And we search the world, high and low, up and down, all over, to find the most interesting stuff to bring you. Sometimes it's just, just right here in the States. Other times we have to go pretty much literally to the other side of the world. And by literally, I mean from the top of the northern hemisphere, kind of on the western side, all the way. I guess we would go over. We could go down, or we could just go around. Anyway, we have got our guest today is from New Zealand, and it is Toby Mills with Virtual Video Director. Let me get that lower third off. There we go. And with Noise Productions is actually his company. And Toby has created this amazing software. It's been out for a while. I think we're on version 5, that allows us to use our microphones, our audio, to switch cameras. So it's perfect for TV stations or city council meetings or debates or else. Well, I'm not going to talk about it. Toby, tell us what caused you to create this wonderful software. What was it that made it happen in your mind?
Oh, thanks, Tom. Great to be on the show on this cold morning down here in New Zealand. But fantastic. Yeah, well, a few years ago now, I was helping a local radio station who wanted to take some of their content and put it on YouTube and make some posts, and everything was heading towards video. And I actually, we were having trouble doing the camera switch, and we were using vMix audio to do the threshold-based switching, and it was cutting all over the place and doing weird stuff. And then I actually saw your show, and you had a piece of software back then. I can't remember what it was called, and it used WDM drivers, and you had to have an ASIO conversion piece of software. And it used thresholds again, but it was slightly better. It had time, things. And so I set that up and it worked. And then something happened to the guy, I think, that made that ASIO died. I did it, yeah.
Yes.
And it's kind of stopped working, and we were left with nothing that we could do it with. So I had a bit of a panic, and then thought, oh, how hard can this be? And I'm a software engineer by trade, so I kind of just sat down, knocked out a very, very, very crude piece of software to do it using ASIOs directly, so you didn't have to have that intermediate layer. And we got it working in the station, and they loved it. And then other people kind of saw what it was doing and asked for a copy, and it just kind of grew. And here we are today, and there's thousands of people all around the world using it, and it's gone a bit crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And the folks that I've worked with that are using it love it. Love it. It takes them, of course, a little while to get used to it, and a little while to get it set up and dialed in just right. I've got a couple of radio stations down in Tampa, Florida, that are using it, and they just love it. And then, of course, a bunch of other folks that are using it around the way. But it's somewhat easy to set up if you're not an idiot. And I thought, Michael, this is called Virtual Video Director. That's the name of the software, and the website is what is it? Is it just noiseproductions.com? Toby, let me clean that up.
New website that's up now. It's just vvd.nz, and that's just about product, and it doesn't have our other stuff on it. So it's just about virtual video.
Okay,
so it's some new stuff on there. .nz, no co.
Oh, I'm just looking at it here on my screen. So that must have gotten put in by. So it's just np.nz.
No. vvd.nz.
So you've
VVD for virtual video
you've got a
director.
different website set up.
Yeah,
VVD.
there's a new one just been set up in the last couple of weeks, and it's just for virtual video director. Yep, that's it.
Okay. So let's go there. VVD.nz. And yeah, I'm not getting it. I've got too many V's though here, don't I? Well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. So
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat. That's a good place for it. So let's take a look at it, and I'm already stuck, and
Right.
it's really funny because I've helped a bunch of people set it up, and then all of a sudden I'm having trouble with it, and so I'm obviously doing something stupid. Or idiotic. Let's just put it that way. So let me clear the screen here, and we'll bring in a desktop capture. And this is where we are. Let me see if I can clean up this desktop capture a little bit, and we'll sharpen it, and then we'll see if we can't blow it up a little bit. Oops, wrong one. There we go. All right. And this may or may not work because we've got another window. But what we're seeing is this is the interface that comes up right away. And as you can see, we've got 5 lines, multicolored lines there. The top 2 are microphones, which are not right. And Toby, you tell us what you see. You created this rascal. You talk. Oh, I've muted you. Hold on. Sorry about that. Start again.
Oh, there you go. Better now? You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so the whole problem with there's quite a few different threshold-based solutions out there, and vMix does it, of course, and there's some other ones. But the problem is if you get someone who talks quietly, it doesn't trigger, or if you get someone who's talking louder than the other person, it triggers to them and it never goes to the quiet person. So the whole idea behind VVD is that once you set it up, you should never need to really touch it again, and it should just kind of work in the background. So rather than looking at thresholds, we actually compare all of the different channels that are coming in and try and pick a winner and figure out who the software thinks is actually speaking, and switch to that person. So it can ignore things like sneezes, and of course they would cut over on a threshold based solution and just really try and hone in on exactly who's speaking. So it looks like you've got some weird stuff going on there, and shall we have a look at what might be happening?
Okay, yeah, I've got some weird stuff going on there. I've got multiple audio sources. One is you coming out of vMix, and the other is a microphone that is attached to the USB port on my PC. And so what I did is I routed those to NDI so that they would appear in here. And let's do the NDI sources thing. And we can see that we've got Eastern Shore Broadcasting vMix output 2 and Eastern Shore Broadcasting vMix output 4. And output 2 is supposed to be, let's see, let me check here in vMix.
So there's probably an even easier way to do that. Is if you actually look up above, you can see the individual, because it looks like you're getting a mix rather than the source channel. So if you actually look up, vMix can send the original sources there as NDI. So if you have a look there, you've got your microphone, audio microphone. If you just check that instead, and then the vMix call one as well. And I think I'm
didn't even see that. All right, so audio microphone, I think I'm 2. And vMix call is, that's
vMix
you right there. Save.
It'll take a
And
minute just to connect to that. There you
it's
go.
got
Now you're in
you.
business. So you
It doesn't
might
have
have the
me.
wrong one. Do you? Yeah, you might have the
Yeah.
wrong one. Do you for your mic?
Let's see. Let's do that one. Could be that one.
You can check them all and you'll see which ones have got something on them.
Well, there you go. Duh. That's why you are the guy. See, the beauty of this is the kind of stupid stuff that new users do. You know, we don't do the right thing the way it's supposed to, and we fumble around and we get it all tangled up. And yeah,
Totally.
okay.
Yeah. So
Right.
the other thing you'll notice with VVD is the audio meters can sometimes look a little weird. It doesn't actually. Oh, you've muted me. You've muted me in there. So yeah, if you uncheck that, yeah, there I am there. So the meters can look a bit weird because the meters aren't actually showing audio level. They are showing the probability that the software thinks that is the most likely person that's talking.
Really?
So you'll see you'll see how when you start talking, the other one my one actually drops down because it's like, whoa, there's two people talking here. So the probability then of that person being the actual one we're going to switch to drops back down because you've got
no
two people
way.
talking. So yeah. So you see, you can see it happening there. So that confuses people a little bit because we're not really looking at audio here. We're looking at probabilities. Like we're analyzing the audio that's coming in and going, oh, is this someone talking or not? And we're trying to figure out which one to switch to. So they can jump around a bit. So even if you send it a very low level signal, it can still have a very high level on that meter because the probability is high compared to the other channels. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so you think we have it set up correctly?
Yep, that looks good. You can send it any audio level. You don't really need to worry about the gains or changing the gain if somebody comes in that talks quietly. So even if I talk quite quietly, the level actually stays about the same because the probability is the same that it's this channel that's talking versus the other one. So that's how those meters work.
That's incredible. All right, shall we try it?
Yeah.
Okay, so currently in my vMix setup, I've got well, let's orient people to what these things are. And a T1 is my first trigger, right? So my first trigger is going to go to vMix input 1. Oh, there it even says that. And your first trigger is to go to vMix input 3. And overview, it's kind of hard to see right there, but overview trigger, that means if both of us are talking at the same time, right? Or three people are talking. Or I can even choose the number of people. Well, we haven't shown the settings page. Should we do that?
Yep, no, you can do that.
Let's see if it'll fit in this. Most of it will. Okay, there we go. So this is the settings page where we get to choose what our audio source is.
Yes.
And you had mentioned to me that I can make more than one choice. I couldn't figure out how to do that, but maybe we'll come back to that.
Oh, yeah. So I quite often use some software that Audinate makes called Dante Via. And that allows you to bring, if you've got like a mixing desk that might be on USB or an audio interface on USB, and you've got lots of different things coming in, rather than sending them all to vMix, what you can do is bring them into Dante Via, and it can split them and send them as RZO sources to multiple programs at the same time. And it works really, really, really well. And on top of that, as an added bonus, it can send them out of your PC or bring in sources over Dante as well. So it's not just Dante; it does some magic with RZO and drivers as well. So it's very cool.
So what is your list? Your list must be huge. You must have like 19 or 20 possible audio
No,
interfaces on yours?
what I tend to use Dante Via, so you only have one, and then within Dante Via, you choose what you send to VVD.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I can't do this
really
today. I need Dante Via in
no.
order to do that. Okay, gotcha. All right, so we'll leave it on
gets a little
NDI.
bit complicated. It gets a bit complicated when you're using vMix Call because you can't present. Oh, you could output vMix Call, I suppose, as an output, vMix output.
Yes.
To an RZO destination, and then route that back into the way you're doing it is actually fine for using vMix Call.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got that so much. And tell us about the trigger settings here.
Yeah, so you can have up to 8 triggers in the Pro version, or we just have like a podcaster's version for this sort of thing where you just need one, and that's driven by PTZ cameras. So what we can do is what I normally do in a radio studio is I'll set up 1 or maybe 2 PTZ cameras, and then VVD can tell the camera what position to move to and then hop between. So you can have, if you've got 2 people talking and you've got 2 PTZ cameras, then both cameras can be pointing at one person. You have 2 shots of the same person. And then when the other person starts talking, the second camera round to the second, cut vMix to that person, and then it'll spin the first camera around to vMix, to the person talking, and then it'll cut to that person. So you can have an unlimited number of shots with just 2 cameras.
So this trigger settings is just for cameras.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trigger vMix, a Blackmagic ATEM, and a TriCaster all at the same time. So think of them as output triggers. You can, and when an audio channel is activated, then it will trigger all of the things you've got in the trigger there. So if you look in the trigger type in the drop-down list there's quite a few different things that you could be triggering. You could trigger a Panasonic PTZ, or if you have you got an NDI PTZ there or not?
I do.
Yeah. So then in the drop-down list, it'll show you all your NDI sources, and you can pick the camera. That'll break everything if you want, but
gotcha. So
right.
this is just the camera behind me, I think.
Yep.
It doesn't say the IP address, but I guess that's just doing it by NDI.
It's found it from NDI. So, so that you just set up the NDI preset positions, and then in the back in the main software with the trigger number 1, 2, 3, or 4, it'll cut to that NDI preset.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, let's don't do that yet.
Yeah.
Now
you probably need to set that. Yeah, you have to set that back to.
Okay. All
127.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What was that? 127.0.0.1?
Yep.
There we go. So that's the local. Okay. All right. Let's just skip around one more thing, and then we'll try this, is to the director personality.
Yeah. So
I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed when I saw this. Folks, look at this. This is the idea. This is, say, if you've had a real person that was going to be switching cameras, what would be their personality type? What would be their style? And Toby's picture is actually sitting on top of the one we want to see. So let me see if I can just move that here real quickly. So that we're just going to move him over here because we're looking at this part in the bottom left corner, and I'll move it up on the screen a little bit here too. There we go. So what we're looking at is this section right here, the director personality. And I've got it set up for a professional director. Not that I'm a professional director, but that I wanted the accuracy and the wisdom and the speed of a professional director. But Toby, that's not my only choice.
Yeah.
Tell me about these choices.
Yeah, it's just trying to emote the different kind of styles that someone like that might have. So right at the top of Grandpa will, 3 or 4 seconds after someone talks, it'll cut to them. But the advantage of that is if someone's coughing or sneezing, it's not going to worry about those sorts of things. Whereas a professional director, it shouldn't pick up a quick cough, but if somebody like rustles some paper or does something for a long period of time, it's going to cut to those. And then crack baby, like right at the bottom there, it's like, you imagine someone who's really, really wired, and just like the slightest little sound will cause it to trigger straight away. So it's really about how long it waits before it really knows that someone's talking before it actually makes the cut. So you can choose, and of course you can just adjust the slider there and go up or down, and that will also do the same thing. But
so this would be this would be professional.
Yeah.
I mean custom, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, okay. yeah. As soon as, that's gotcha. Right. You can just get it back to professional.
All right, well, enough talk. So let's play.
Yeah.
So we're going to close this window, and we're back to where we were. This is my audio on the top. This is your audio on the bottom. The overview trigger, which happens when we both speak, will shift back to our side-by-side shot, as will the silence trigger. How long silence? Is it, 2 or 3 seconds?
Well, it's up to you. You can choose that in the settings.
It's up to me. Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Yeah.
The downside of having something so very customizable is that idiots like me get a hold of it. And then, we try to customize everything. Okay. I did figure out one thing. It took me 30 minutes to figure out that this
power button, yep,
turns it off and on. So it's here, it's active, but it's not on.
It's not triggering, yes.
It's not triggering. So we're going to turn that on. And when that happens, this screen that everybody's seeing right now is going to totally change the first time one of us says something, or if we don't say anything for 3 or 4 seconds, whatever I've got it set for. So here we go. So it's turned on.
So if there you go. You're live.
And we go to me. Now we go to us.
We're both talking at the same time, yeah.
But this show that we do here should have both of us side by side, even when only one of us is talking.
I am, yeah.
So can I set that so that it stays on the side-by-side shot for a longer time? Would that be a grandpa setting, or how would we set that?
That's your minimum. That's your minimum duration. So back under the settings, you can choose how long it stays on a shot for before it'll cut to the next person. So for something like this, where it's a relatively slow-paced show, you probably want a higher number on that.
Okay. So I turned it off. You can tell because it's red.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into settings, into control panel.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And where are we going
to minimum duration, right down at the bottom.
Okay. Minimum duration. Aha, there we go.
Yep. So that's how long it'll stay on a shot for.
Okay.
For cutting to someone else.
Now this would work great if it was just the side-by-side shot, you and me, but the same thing would apply to the single shots, just you or just me. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So I usually bump that up to around 10 seconds because it depends on the show, I suppose, but you don't want it kind of flicking. Like a real director doesn't go flick, 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 and flick between cameras really fast. They even if somebody is talking and the other person responds just for a few words, they don't cut to that person. So they'll leave it on the person who asked the question for full time before they'll make the decision to make that cut. So it really makes it a lot more realistic compared to just a threshold that'll just cut whenever anything goes across the threshold.
So if I just say to something you say, then, oh golly, hold on. I have screwed up again. My bad. Try that.
All right, there you go. That's
there we
10
go.
seconds now. But if you start talking now, it won't cut to you because we're not under 10 seconds
because
yet.
We're not under 10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. But once we hit that, once you're talking, now it'll cut to you.
So when we get to 10 seconds, it goes back to this shot. So it's going to stay on this shot for 10 seconds, no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And if we're both quiet, it'll stay on this shot indefinitely. Why does this keep turning itself on? I keep turning that thing off. Sorry, I'm just having an idiot moment here. The input in vMix, that is the audio input for your audio, has got a little button on it, the follow button, the automatically mix audio button. And I've turned it off 3 times and it keeps turning itself back on. So I want to keep an eye on that because that means you can't speak. Now, in a lot of occasions, I would love it if my guest didn't speak so much. But in this case, I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say. All right. Well, tell me, I'm going to switch back to this shot for a second. And we'll turn off that. Whoops, I didn't turn it off in time. Let me try again. There we go. And tell me some other cool stuff here.
One of the things we've just added is the noise gate up the top. I don't know if you've had a play with that yet, but that little dial there allows you to essentially filter out background noise. So you just grab that and start winding it up. And eventually, if you keep winding it up, it'll just cut. You go all the way up, and eventually you'll see the meters just drop away, right? So it's filtered out everything. So you can, if you've got a lot of background noise that you want to cut out, you can just dial that in so that you're only just, when someone speaks, starting to get your signal there. So that's a useful new thing that we've just added.
Now, the noise gate only works within Virtual Video Director. It doesn't affect any of the audio outside. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So if I have an air conditioner or, just a lot of raucousy background. Okay.
Yes.
Of course, once I open the gate, no, it doesn't matter because it's not real audio. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we've got the noise gate, and right next to that is, at least here in the US, we would call that a 6.
Yes.
What would you call it in Australia? I mean, in New Zealand. Sorry.
No, that's a 6 as well. Australia would be a 6. Yeah.
6. No. Okay.
We say it properly here in New Zealand. Yeah.
So what's the 6 for?
That's the currently active channel for T1. So in the moment, because you've got it powered off, it's still, the last one it triggered was 6, which is the overview or silence.
Yes.
And it's actually up on the top left-hand corner. You can see it's S. So S was the last thing to be triggered. And there's a little green light next to the S channel as well. And that shows you that was the last, that's what's been triggered. So.
All right. Let's turn it back on and I'll watch it.
Yep. So if I talk now, it'll to me, hopefully in a second. We're probably waiting for a 10-second.
Waiting for 10 seconds. Yes. Okay, and now the 6 has changed to a 1. You can't see that. And the channel changed from a 0 to a 1. I guess that's my audio, right? Let me turn this back off and we'll go back to it. This is a little clumsy, I apologize. But we're trying to use it and do a broadcast by using it at the same time. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So S, tell me again what S means. S means
silence.
The silence trigger.
Yep.
Okay,
silence
gotcha.
Channel. Yep. And
so O would be overview and then F would be fixed. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
we're good there.
So
And number of
the
speakers.
other thing that's just the number of people talking at the same time.
Yeah.
And you've powered off and I'm not
And
analyzing
that only displays anything when it's on.
Yes, yeah.
So we have 10 seconds. I'm turning it on, and you and I are both, it moved quickly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. If I turn it off and then go back to this shot, it's not going to.
Yeah, because what it actually does is when you turn the power off, it'll cut to silence. So it's a feature a few people ask for is if they're in a studio or something like that, at the end of the show, they want to be able to set up a shot that it cuts to. So they can just basically turn off VVD and it will cut vMix to that and leave it there until the next show. So that's why it's always calling back to that when you turn the power off.
And so right now it previously it said 0 speakers, and then I guess it timed out to 10 seconds and went back.
Yeah.
Since I cut it myself right now, that must not count. So as long as I'm speaking, it's not going to change to another shot. It's going to stay on this shot until it senses you speaking, right? And then it's going to...
Yeah.
Or 10 seconds.
Yeah. So if I start talking now, it should... it looks like I'm a little bit quieter, so it takes a little bit longer. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll go back.
So if you wanted that to be a bit quicker, you could take it down a setting from the professional director.
Okay. Yeah, your audio clipped out again. I don't know what's causing that. I've never seen that before. So let's go to the control panel and let's go back to Drunken Sailor. You think? Or Grandpa?
Oh, no, I'd go faster. So go to something a little bit faster.
Oh, you go to faster. We'll go to Crack Baby.
15-year-old kid or something like that.
Yeah, we'll go to Crack Baby.
That'd be wild.
All right. Yeah, look at that. That's quick. Your audio went out again. vMix, what are you doing to me? You're killing me.
And you'll see the meters are moving around a lot quicker now too on the VV.
Yes. Okay, let's see. Let's find number 3. All right, let me just take a look at this problem real quickly because it just muted you again. Audio settings. Yeah, this is crazy. Settings, audio. Automatically mix audio is unchecked.
Yeah, you want that one off.
And it always stays unchecked. I never use it. Well, this is interesting, Toby. I'll have to report this to vMix and get them to tell me what they think. Do you have a lot of contact with vMix?
A couple of times. We talked to them about a few things, but not an awful lot. We're in our own little channels, but yeah, be good to catch up with them at some point.
Yeah, it might be a trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing, which I don't think you've covered, and maybe you might be useful, is the Realism simulator. Have you had a play with that at all, or not?
No. Let's look at that. So let's turn this guy off for a second, and we'll go back to this shot. And,
so one of the things that a real director will do is, if you've got, say, me and you talking, and you're talking for quite a long period of time, and what a real director will do is cut to the person that is being talked to, just to get the nods and the reactions. If you've got 4 mic positions and only people are talking, you don't want to cut to a position that there's no one there. So,
right.
So what the Realism simulator does is it keeps track of which channels are talking, and it kind of keeps them in a pool. And then after a random period of time, and you can select how frequent that random period is, it'll just randomly cut to that other person just to get their reaction. And so you don't have to have a person doing that. It'll do it automatically. So in the settings, if you have a look at the settings,
control panel.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
And go to the Realism simulator.
Right down here at the bottom.
That's pretty easy to set. So if you change it from disabled to, yep.
Oh, I like it. Way too much. That's where we're going. Of course, we're going to do way too much. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So now every, and you can see the countdown in the top there under there's a little Realism dial, and it'll show how long before it's going to make that random cut. And when it makes a Realism cut, it'll show a little R in the corner. So it takes a little while for it to calibrate that because it doesn't want to cut to a mic position that has no one in it. So it builds up a history of which channels in the last few minutes have been talking, so that it knows which ones are safe to cut to.
And that's what it did. It cut to me.
Right. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now the fixed timer, and let me turn this off for a second so folks again can see what it is we're looking at here. The fixed timer right next to it.
Yes.
What is a fixed timer? It just means periodically it switches whatever.
Yeah, if you wanted it to every 10 seconds to cut to a specific shot, or every 5 minutes or whatever, you can get that. So it's just do that on a regular period.
So that would be this section right here.
Yes, and there's an override there for the minimum duration, so you can have it on there for a shorter or a longer period of time than what you've set on the minimum duration. So you've got a bit of flexibility there.
This is incredible. This is incredible. All right. Another question.
Yes.
Tell me about, all right, I've got T1. First trigger for me, on my audio, first trigger for you on your audio. What do the other triggers do? Would that be if I had the PTZ cameras? No?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So you can have, if you need at least 4 triggers for a 2PTZ. So your first trigger, as you've got it now, will cut to the vMix channel for that PTZ. The second trigger will move the second PTZ to the next position. And then the third will cut to the vMix shot for that second PTZ camera. And then the fourth trigger will move your first PTZ to the second position as well. And then you could use a fifth one as well to cut to that one back as well. So you could do that. So yeah, that's how you would set that up. So you can chain events so that they'll happen after a delay. So in the settings, each trigger is cascading. So you can say, cut to this shot instantly, and then wait 5 seconds and do this, and then wait 3 seconds and do this, and then so you set that up as a cascading.
I'm holding onto my head to keep it from exploding. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So that's been used in Parliament. So for example, you might have 90 mic positions, right? And you don't want to have 90 cameras. So you set up 2 PTZ cameras kind of in the middle of a Parliament. And when someone speaks, it will use the NDI presets and just move to that person that's speaking and then zoom in on them so they're perfectly framed in the shot. So you can do an entire Parliament fully automated, or a council chamber or something like that. And
with 2 cameras.
You need 2 cameras. Yeah, and you don't need, the big thing is you don't need 1 million vMix tiles for each camera position, because the presets are stored on the camera, is not in vMix or anything, or VVD. It's just dialing up the remote preset that's stored in the camera.
Ah, Gotcha. So that's why you have an opportunity to identify the camera, so you can get into the guts of the camera and see what's going on in that camera. Holy cow. Holy cow. All right. One more question. Well, I say one more question, but probably it means more than one. Up here where it says duration, this is just telling me what's going on. This is just information for me, right? This is not something I can change.
That's right. So that when after it's made a cut, you remember we set the minimum duration?
Yes.
So after it makes a cut, start counting down until it's ready able to make the next cut. So it just is as a visual indication of how much time you've got left before it'll start thinking about making the next cut.
Okay. Okay. So I've turned it on and it's gone back to me, but I'll just sort of pop back to it, and we can see as the duration is counting down. There we go. Yep. And now it's going to go to whatever shot it chooses.
Yeah, if I start talking now, it'll cut to me, and then the duration will it's picked us both of us talking.
Picked up both of us, yeah. And we're on here for 10 seconds, as long as, I guess that 10 seconds kind of gets reset every time we talk at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right now the duration is 0. So we just sort of hang around in this shot as long as... Yeah. Oh my gosh. Toby, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Oh my God.
It's all been, all of these things have come from requests that people have made. So, it started off very basic, and then people have said, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if it did this?" And you think, "Oh, yeah, that would be great." And then you add it in, and it just gets better and better.
Now you had let me see if I can find it here. You had a really nice review of the software, and I'm gonna turn it off for just a second while we do this. And we'll go back to the shot with you and me. But you had a really nice review of the software by this gentleman, and this is actually on your website, where somebody is showing how to use it with their children. And with Margot and Wesley, and I don't remember the fella's name, but just really nice review. And so, folks, if you want to see that, just go to YouTube, and you can go to his website and see that on his website. And the website I'm on right now is the Noise Production Limited site. And I've gone into the software tab to Virtual Video Director to get to here. And if you're interested in downloading it, I don't know if this button has been updated, but this button down here for the fully functional 30-day trial is, the last time I did it was a more current version than the download button.
Yes, I changed it after your last show. I saw that.
Oh, you saw that? Okay. Okay. Good. That's my job, is to act like an idiot and do things that people would never, ever do. And then you say, oh, well, better fix that. Yeah. Golly.
The only other thing to mention would be the API. So there's a whole bunch of APIs that you can use with it for broadcast automation. So if you're in a radio station or a TV station, or you've got a complex setup, you can turn on VVD when an on-air light it comes on, or link it to all sorts of broadcast automation. So there's an HTTP API, a UDP API, and a TCP API, and you can control basically all of the things that we've seen here through that API. It's under Help. If you go to Help and API,
okay,
it's got all the ways you can control VVD via the API. It's a bit off the screen there.
Yes.
There's also those keyboard shortcuts. So you can set it up with your Stream Deck or something like that.
Yes. Oh, how cool! So, where do you go from here?
Oh, it depends where people want us to go. So it's always just about refining, making it better, and adding new features when people want to support new mixes or things like that. So yeah, we'll see. We're kind of in a bit of a stability phase at the moment now that version 5 is out. Just making sure there's no issues with that, and rolling it out to people and supporting them. So yeah, we'll see what happens next and see where it ends up.
Well, how can I help you here in the U.S.?
You already are, Tom. Just letting people know. Obviously, when you're in the other side of the world, it's a little hard to get to trade shows and things like that. So
right.
we really just rely on word of mouth, and that's how it's grown so far. So just people using it and raving about it is always great.
Well, if you ever decide to do a trade show here in the U.S., like NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, in the spring in Las Vegas, I would be delighted to assist you any way I can. Yeah.
I'd love to get over there. It's a long way.
Yes.
It's about a 12-hour flight just to LA from here, and then you got to get to
is that all?
From there. Yeah, it's not.
Well, that's a piece of cake. Jeez.
Yeah.
When I went to Thailand, we were in the air for 20 hours on multiple flights. Yeah. All right. Well, what words of wisdom can you leave us with? And then we'll go to post show and take some questions. So
yeah.
This is your word of wisdom.
I don't know. I would just shout out to if you're having issues with audio and particularly DVD or vMix, give Audinate's Dante Via software a whirl. It's very good, and it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of audio tools. So that's a really good starting place for whenever I'm helping to get started. I just start with that, and then you can't go wrong really.
Now, Dante Via, is that a paid product?
It is. Yep. Yeah. It's I can't remember the price. It's $100 or something. But
permanent license is $60 US. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And it has a 30-day trial.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's the Swiss Army. It's a very underrated, under-recognized piece of software there, and everyone kind of recognizes Audinate as they do Dante, but Dante Via is a very clever piece of software for routing audio. You might have heard of ASIO for All and those kind of virtual cable kind of things. Well, it's a proper version that actually works.
I love it. I'll have to try it. Cool. All right. Well, let's close out this portion of the show. Go to the post show, take some questions, and then I'll take you out for breakfast. How about that?
Very good.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
We'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Toby, I think you were actually right. I think I had a trigger on your audio.
Right.
Yep. So I didn't find a bug in vMix. Doggone it. I tried.
Triggers get you out.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Have you got the chat available to look at?
I do. Yes. Yeah, I can see that there.
Yeah. All right. So the last time we talked to anybody in chat, it was Michael Quist, and he asked what the name of the product was, the website URL. And I've got that correctly down here, right?
Yes. Yep. That'll get there. Yep.
vvd.nz. Okay. Very good. And Michael's other question says, does it work with Dante Audinate audio M sources too?
Audio M source. I'm not sure what audio M sources means, but it does support Dante virtual sound. or as I've said, Dante Via, which is kind of like the next level up from virtual sound card. So it'll support any RZO compatible sound source. Dante will do that fine. Dante everywhere. I'm a huge fan of Dante.
Yeah, what did it say on your website? You were like Dante 27 certified?
Level 3.
Level 3. Okay, level 3. Yeah. There we go. All right, and Fritz says, thanks for the quick explanation of the meters. He's been trying to figure out a good way to explain them to other people. But it's a probability meter, right?
It is, yeah. I have contemplating putting the raw audio meters on, but I don't. It's kind of aimed at people who maybe don't necessarily understand audio and game, those sorts of things. So, it's a complex subject. So we're just trying to keep it simple, and really you should be able to throw anything at VVD and it'll deal with it. So that's the whole idea.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see. Michael Quist, wow, that's impressive. I'm going to skip over the next two, and then you're answering. So there we go. So yeah. Well, not a lot of questions. I'm disappointed. What that generally means with this show is it's so simple that everybody understands it.
Self-explanatory.
And so they don't have to ask questions. Or they're completely blown away and they're just speechless. And I think that's the category we're in today. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get this and try this. Now, is there a personal version that you can install like on another person and mute them for a long-term time? Like I can work with my wife and just have it around her neck and it mutes her for 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time? No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Sandy, if you're watching, dear, I didn't really mean that. So do you have some thoughts about where you might go next? I mean, I know you're really into the feedback from the users, but have you got something on the back burner that you're like, I wonder if this would work?
It's probably less about new features at the moment and more probably about what we do kind of long term in terms of the code base and stability. And so at the moment it's using relatively old Windows technology, so it might be time for an update there to a newer .NET version. But it works, so you've always got to weigh up. Whenever you refactor code and start again, then you always bring in new bugs. So yeah, we've just kind of finished version 5 and got that out. There's been some talk maybe about supporting OBS, although not a lot of people seem to be using that professionally. So
right.
We'll see what happens there. But yeah, if people have ideas or start using it and think, well, it'd be really great if it did this, then always open to do that.
Well, I guess it's the call into OBS that you've got to set up.
OBS doesn't have any APIs or anything like that kind of work out of the box, so it's a little more challenging.
Right. What about Wirecast, or do you see that not as a big enough audience?
Every time I've used Wirecast, it's crashed. So, I don't know how many people actually use it, do they? The problem is once you've used vMix, you never go back to anything else, do you? So, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe if enough people said they were using Wirecast, maybe it does support generic HTTP APIs, so you can actually use those with Wirecast. It's a little bit more complex to set up than just selecting Wirecast from the drop-down box, but
right.
We could probably look at Wirecast.
Do you have a good number of TriCaster users?
Yeah, there's a solid TriCaster base. Some people have even installed it on their TriCaster directly. So you can actually run it on the TriCaster screen, and then you don't have to have a separate PC. So,
wow, voids the warranty, I'm sure. Michael Quist is asking, how much RAM does it use?
Very little, so it's got very low CPU and RAM overhead. On a modern PC, it would probably, it's running 20 channels of audio. It's probably sitting about 1% of the CPU and RAM load. So it is pretty minimal. Any modern PC will not even notice it's running.
Good. That's the way it ought to be. So our friend Anderson from Barbados sends a hello, and he says it's hot as hell in Barbados.
I wish it was hot here. It's freezing here.
It's always hot as hell in Barbados. I mean, he'll come on and do that in the winter when it's winter here. And the
sun has just come up though, so it's about to start getting a bit warmer, which will be nice. It's a bit lighter here than what it was when we started.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, you've been such a champ for coming on the show. I was talking to somebody the other day about things that were happening kind of in this, live streaming world, and I said, one of my heroes is this guy named Toby Mills, and he has done. I mean, he's picked the narrowest of narrow niches, and he has blown it up, and is now the king of that niche, and has made it work reliably. I mean, I remember with that, whatever that other software was way back when. I mean, it was such a headache to get it to work, but when it worked, it was just amazing.
Right.
But it was just like, a balancing act where I've got to balance all these things just in the right way to get it to work. And when it works, it's great. And otherwise, it's just. And then when the guy that wrote
that's been the goal. I love narrow niches, and you can be a real, it's easy to be the best in the world at something when you pick the narrowest possible niche.
Oh, truer words were never spoken. Truer words. That's why I picked the idiot niche, because I knew I could exceed expectations in the idiot niche. Yeah.
One of the other projects I do is I actually have written some software that does scoring systems for competitive. It's hard to even explain what it is. Competitive sheep shearing.
That is a narrow niche.
Yeah, it is very narrow. There's a competition here in New Zealand called the Golden Shears, which is a shearing sports event where competitors basically race to shear a sheep as fast as they can, but do it properly and have high quality. So there's a whole scoring system and timing and everything that goes around that sport. It's quite big here in New Zealand and Australia. It's big in Australia and England as well. Competitive sheep shearing.
I suspect that is one sport that will not catch on in the U.S. Our sheep population is not very high. Competitive sheep shearing. So is that on your website?
It could be. Yeah, I'll put a link to it if you like.
Software
in the chat.
What's it called?
So the event is called the Golden Shears, and
there's no software.
You can't download the software.
Oh, you can't download it.
No.
Okay. I mean, there might be.
Laugh,
the show here, the Streaming Idiot show has international reach. So there's probably somebody out there watching this either live or on YouTube that says competitive sheep shearing scoring. That's exactly what I've been looking for. So
unlikely, but they might be interested in the Golden Shears. It's a pretty serious sport. Yeah.
Here in the U.S., there would be some animal rights group that would rise up against it and say that it was cruel and unusual punishment to poor little sheep. Although it's probably a necessary part of their life to get sheared.
Oh yeah. It's more of it's worse to leave the wool on and then they cook.
Yeah. Well, Toby, you're a champ. You're very gracious. I appreciate your time today. And we're going to close out this if anybody, if you need more information about this, you can get him on his website. And I think you also have a Facebook page, maybe? No?
Yeah, once you actually download the software, you can get into a Facebook group which is just for the users of it, so keeps the noise down. So,
right.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a group of people there, and that's where all the new features requests come in, and people chat about it and
awesome.
ask questions.
Awesome. And the licenses can be purchased. There are 3 different licenses. There's a light license, which has got 1 trigger. The standard license has got 4 triggers and up to 8 microphones. The Pro license has 8 triggers, up to 64 microphones, 69, 169, and 220. And those are permanent licenses, right?
Yeah. We've just added a subscription to as well if anyone just needs it for a short-term project or anything.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's also available.
You can subscribe for a year for a lot less than that. All right. And what about updates? Does everybody get a free update, or is it like vMix where at some point you need to pay for your update in the future?
So the Pro version, you'll get updates forever.
Okay.
And the standard version, you get updates on the version you're on, and the light version, you get updates for the version you're on as well. So
that's very generous. Holy cow. And you can get that on his website. All right. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, sir.
Awesome.
I appreciate you. If I can help you in any way, please feel free to just give me the old holler.
You're already a great help. Just getting the word out there. That's the biggest challenge with a narrow niche like this is just getting the message to all the people who might possibly want to use it. So, it's always great just to talk about it and show what it can do. A lot of people don't realize all the things it can do. So that's great.
And I have a feeling we just sort of skimmed the easy stuff today. Maybe at some point,
there's some people doing some wild things with it out there. That's for sure. It's like when you hear about some of the things that they've used it for, it's like, oh wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. Cool. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Talk to you again soon. Bye.
All right, folks. Well, that's it. That was Toby. That was great. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, if you like it, give us a like. You know how that stuff goes. Thank you, Michael Quist. We will catch you guys next week when our show is not really sure yet, but I've got some great ideas in the mix. So, download the free trial and give that a shot just for fun. Just do it to see what it's like. Yeah, because you never know when you need to know. All right, we're going to head out here, and I appreciate you hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next week.